For those of you that weren't here this morning, my name's Chris Hind. I'm the write for the Beacon group. So although I retired 3 years ago, I seem to have been dragged back to write on mining for events such as this. What we've got now is a discussion on the first exploration round in Saudi Arabia. And to talk about it, we've got two gentlemen from the Ministry of Industry and Mineral Resources. That's the head of strategy, Abdulrahman al-Belushi, and his colleague, who's the business analyst at the ministry, Ahmed al-Akib. And joining them is a representative, the principal exploration geologist of SRK. There used to be Stefan Robertson and Kirsten from Johannesburg. They're preeminent consulting company in the world. I can say that because I used to work for them, so I know where the skeletons are. Anyway, without more ado, please welcome them onto the stage. Ahmed al-Akib, Abdulrahman al-Belushi, and Antony Benham from SRK. Oh, you're going to make a presentation?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I gather there's a presentation first. Yeah.
Oh, shall I move?
No. Yeah, shall we?
I'll move.
We'll sit there.
So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be among you today. It's an exciting time to be in the Saudi mining sector, with so many new achievements, new projects, and new milestones. Today, myself, Mr. Ahmed Ageel, from the Ministry of Industry and Mineral Resources, and Mr. Antony Benham, from SRK Consulting, would like to take you through one of the most promising and interesting opportunities that we have in Saudi Arabia. And for the record, I'm very biased. We have 3 topics to cover today. We will first start by taking you through the objectives of the mining licensing round. Second, the geologists will take you through the potential of Khunaigiyah area and the entire exploration license. Third, at the end, I will explain to you the process and how you can be part of this opportunity. So for all of you to better understand our drivers, intentions, and ambitions in the mining sector, I'll take you back to December 2017, where the mining strategy was first approved by the Royal Court. It was thousands of pages, but its main pillars were 3 and simple: increasing the geological data, develop and improve the regulation framework, and develop the value chains that are adjacent to these mineral resources. And the government committed a serious budget, north of $1 billion, to make this a reality. And the funny thing is, at the time, we thought we came up with this amazing formula to transform our mining sector. And we went abroad to multiple conferences, and we see every country, they come up with the same recipe, same 3 pillars. And we realized that the challenge is not coming up with this recipe, but it's actually cooking it and implementing it and making it a reality. So fast forward 4 years, and I believe we completed a major chunk of the strategy. We've walked the talk, and this plan is already a reality. One of the main milestones was amending the mining investment law. And we've done that in collaboration with so many international and local partners, private sector, public sector. And we've learned from our previous mistakes and failures from around the world. And we put together what we think is the best mining code in the world. Since it went into effect, we've issued north of an 800 license. We got more than 700 exploration license applications, and we've reduced the turnaround time by 80%. And we also created the mining services company to make sure that the text and the regulations is actually a reality and actually being monitored for compliance. But to further re-emphasize the commitment of the Saudi mining sector, and to truly ensure we are open for business in the mining sector, we are putting one of our most developed sites in for a competition for the licensing round. We want to attract the best mining companies in terms of performance and social economic return. We want to jumpstart exploration spending in the area and discoveries around the country. And we want our mineral resources to enable the value chains that are adjacent to them. All of this will be anchored on our principles of transparency and to act in collaboration with the private sector and the players in Saudi mining. Rotish from the ICMM yesterday said an amazing African proverb. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. So we're following his principle. So without further ado, Khunaigiyah, why you all are here. This is not just a well-defined deposit. It also has crazy enablers next to it. These are some of the key numbers. It's the largest ever exploration license in the kingdom. It already has 4 defined ore bodies with around 25 million tons of zinc and copper. Already 1,000 meters, already 100,000 meters were drilled in this licensed area. And also, there's a lot of advantages in the Saudi mining investment ecosystem that any investor can leverage. There is 75%, up to 75% of CapEx financing provided by the Saudi Investment Development Fund. Well, they actually walk the talk. This is not just a promise. They've spent billions of dollars in the past few years. And for every step the raw material will stay inland, you receive 30% reduction in the royalty. Human Resources Development Fund will cover 30 to 50% of Saudi personnel for a couple of few years at the beginning of the project. And it's only situated 170 kilometers away from the capital, Riyadh. So you'll enjoy world-class road connectivity. You'll enjoy world-class desalination water network to support you in the processing and the beneficiation of this amazing asset. And it goes without saying, being in the kingdom, you will never have energy shortage. And we believe that the local community that surrounds Khunaigiyah is one of the friendliest local communities that you'll see around the world. What an opportunity. And to further introduce you to it, my colleague Ahmed Ageel will take you through its geology.
Thank you, Abdulrahman. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, looking at Khunaigiyah, Khunaigiyah is located within the Nubian-Arabian Shield, where it's considered to be one of the largest and richest shield in the entire world. It includes lots of success stories. I can mention, for example, a Duwayhi gold mine in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where it produces around 180,000 ounces annually. And as a geologist, I'm always wondering, a shield that includes in the eastern part, for example, Al-Mansura Masarra, one of the largest gold open pit mine in the Middle East. In the west side, it includes a Sukkari gold mine in Egypt. In the southern side, in Ethiopia, it includes the Dimalama mine, which definitely has a huge potential, not necessarily within those deposits, but within the entire shield. And I would mention a brief from Mark Bristow yesterday. he was saying that the Arabian-Nubian Shield, they have similarities in terms of structure, in terms of geology, and I would add to that physical and chemical properties as well. So it's time for us to explore it and to find all the minerals beyond it. Going to the numbers, in Arabian Shield, in the last year, the budget spending exploration was around $40 per cubic meter, and this is only half of the average global spending in the entire world. So we are really behind in exploration. To go further in the potential areas in Khunaigiyah, as I mentioned, the Arabian Shield consists of 35 mineralized belts. One of the most promising belts is the Al-Amar sulfide belt, where Khunaigiyah is located in. Khunaigiyah is located in the northern part of the Al-Amar belt, and around 50 kilometers from an existing producer mine, Al-Amar gold mine, where it produced around 30,000 gold ounces per year. And on the other hand, not only an existing mine is there, there was almost over 50 occurrences discovered in the area, including gold, silver, copper, zinc, and other base metals. So one thing to mention in terms of structure, as you know, in the belt, there is a huge normal fault cutting across it, and as any geologist would tell you that any area that has these type of structures, it would definitely include a huger mineralization, especially Khunaigiyah, their mineralization is controlled fully by structure. So I'll go to the history of Khunaigiyah, which was started in early 70s. We have BRGM, which drilled more than 32,000 meters and provided a PF study, pre-feasibility study. Then another previous license holder carried over the exploration activity from late 90s up to early 2000, where they drilled over 27,000 meters and also produced two geology estimation report, and they covered the whole belt by geophysical activity, including magnetic surveying. All of those information will be inside the data room of Khunaigiyah. From 2005 up to 2015, another previous license holder did more exploration work, where they drilled over 36,000 meters and also produced a pre-feasibility study and the reserves report that is compliant with JORC standards. To show the commitment of the ministry on this project, we have contracted with one of the largest geology consultancy company in the world, SRK, where they did validate those geological and exploration activity and will provide a technical report at the end of the project. Looking at this huge number of exploration work and this number of meters, I can assure you now we have better understanding of the geology of Khunaigiyah. We have much better understanding of the mineralization of Khunaigiyah. And as a geologist, I went into every single part of those studies, which is really helpful and will give you a fantastic and significant type about Al-Khunaigiyah. So for example, I'll start sharing that. Khunaigiyah consists of 4 main zones. We call them ore bodies, where zone 3 is the largest ore body and zone 1 is the smallest ore body. Not only that, we also identified the tuff is the hosted rock, where it cuts by too many different dikes, for example, the sill, post-volcanic dike, and andesitic dike. And as a geologist, you can identify these dikes are the youngest, while the tuff is the oldest in the area. Also, one more thing to mention, in any base metal, there are different alterations that is associated with it. They are indications of the existence of the base metals. So the hydrothermal deposit alteration in the area consists of too many different types of alteration that we found in Khunaigiyah. For example, the carbonate, silicification, epidote, and chloride as well. So all of those alterations were found in Khunaigiyah, and they are a great indication of the mineralization. You can see clearly here in the picture of the core, it came from zone 3 that shows the mineralization of zinc as well as those type of alteration that I mentioned earlier. To know more and to elaborate more about the activity that SRK is helping the ministry to validate, Antony will talk about it. Thank you.
You going to talk? Yeah.
So?
Salam alaikum. Thank you very much to my colleague Ahmed for the introduction. So as Ahmed and Abdulrahman were saying, SRK has been contracted by the Saudi ministry to undertake verification and QA/QC of the previous work. And I'll explain some of that work now. So far we've undertaken a series of visits to both the site and to the core yards in Jeddah. There are two core yards that are present in Jeddah. One hosted by the Saudi Geological Survey, which accounts for most of the BRGM core that was drilled in the first phase of exploration. And then another one that is a ministry core store, where core relating to supplementary or additional exploration programs by other license holders, and the core is accessible and for the most part in very good condition. Some of the very, very early stage core has deteriorated over time, but for the most part our finding was that the core was in actually very good condition, and at the moment that is currently being resampled by the SGS using accredited labs in the kingdom, and those results will be back shortly, and they will be used to obviously determine whether the original findings, the original grades reported by the early stage work are verifiable. In addition, there's been a supplementary drilling or twin hole drilling campaign undertaken by the Saudi Geological Survey that's been recently completed. 10 holes, almost 1,300 meters have been drilled to verify some of the holes that were originally drilled. And SRK has been involved in the actual verification process for that drilling program itself, as well as looking at the core and recommending the sample intervals that are collected and sent away for analysis. We've also produced a 3D geological model using the earlier BRGM data that is now publicly available for viewing in the data room. And this, I would encourage everybody to access the data room, to access all of the files that are connected with this promising opportunity. They include all of the files related to the earliest stage BRGM work, the PFS level work, as well as some more modern work that other license holders have undertaken as well, including digital drill hole databases. So at present, SRK is involved in an independent technical review, and this will be ready in February. This will technically review all of the work that BRGM in particular have undertaken and give our independent commentary on the rationale and the decisions made for that process when it actually was published, and our reporting on that. That's my colleagues are involved in that work at the present. We're also revising the 3D geological model using more modern drilling data that has been recently made available to us, and both of those, the 3D model and the ITR, are expected to be produced in February. So at the moment, the earlier 3D model is available for download, as well as as I say, the information related to the PFS and also related to the BFS as well. That's all available for your download. So Photographs on the screen just show examples of the actual visits that we've undertaken recently to the site of the twin drilling undertaken by SGS, as well as a couple of my colleagues and some sample of the core that we're undertaking to just verify that the original logs are accurate and believable, and ultimately we'll have information regarding the actual sample results as well once they come back from the laboratories. So this is a screenshot of the 3D geological model that we've created. I would encourage you all, please, to visit the Khunaigiyah stand, which is immediately outside the theatre room here, which actually displays the model as it's being rotated, and the actual geology is stripped away, so you can see the grade shells underneath this for all 4 of the actual bodies that have been modelled, and a couple of synthetic sections as well that have been put up there, just giving an example of the interpretation at this stage of what some of the mineralization looks like. As Ahmed was saying earlier on, it's had a very interesting history and understanding in terms of its geological context. I won't go into that now because it's very technical, but the later modeling, I think it will be very interesting when that becomes available later on in February, as to how it actually interacts with the earlier stage modeling, because the actual genesis has been changed over to the model believed to be responsible for the mineralization has changed over time. So the figures down on the bottom side represent the non-compliant BRGM resource estimate produced in '94 for the different ore bodies. So you can see in total 24.8 million tons at a rough grade of 4.5 or 4.1% zinc with a little bit of copper as well. This has been superseded in later years, of course, by the more recent JORC-compliant mineral resource estimate of more than 26 million tons. So that's publicly available as well. So I think at this stage, I will now hand back over to my colleague Abdulrahman from the Ministry, who will take you through the latter parts of the talk. Thank you for your time.
So now we'll take you through the process and how you can be part of this opportunity. It's basically a very simple process. Simple, fast, and easy to allow investors to participate. It's 3 phases. The first phase is already done. We've got registration. It's on the website, Ta'deem platform. You all can access it, see the data room, and express your interest. The second one is a qualification based on expertise and financial capacity, and it will be aligned with the current mining law. And the third one will be a sealed bid and an open multi-round as a tiebreaker if needed. The sealed bid will ask about your plans for exploration, exploitation, some social development, and then a multi-metric, open and transparent auction platform, electronic, to see a tiebreaker if we get the top bidders from the sealed bid. And you've seen in these 2 days, you've seen the government and the Saudi mining sector commitment to open up this sector. All these opportunities that are aligned, and public players, private sector players, all engaged to make these opportunities and discoveries a reality. So we'd welcome you. Now the ball is in your hands. We'd welcome you to visit our data room, express your interest, and be part of this. And we'll take you by hand and support you throughout the process until we end it in the second quarter of 2021.
Right. Aren't masks glorious?
Sorry.
Right, we've only got 10 minutes for questions, I'm afraid, because there's another session hard on the back of this. And There's a few obvious questions that spring to mind, or rather, I was given to spring to mind. The obvious one, actually, would have occurred to me anyway, is that you've got one of the world's larger and more important mining companies in Saudi Arabia, in Ma'aden. What was the logic behind opening this exploration round to the world and announcing it in a venue like this rather than just keeping it domestic?
Right. Well, I believe, thank you for asking tough questions initially. I believe there are two parts to the question. Why are we opening up the mining sector, and why are we serious about the mining sector? And then why Ma'aden? Why not Ma'aden? I believe the Saudi commitment and vision for the mining sector spurred from Vision 2030 and diversifying the kingdom's economic return and the kingdom's revenue, where oil and gas is a leverage for petrochemicals, and mining can be a leverage for greater value chains, an enabler. The kingdom has great history in establishing better value from its resources, and that for sure was done via Ma'aden. We got the phosphate value chain, the aluminum value chain, fully built out with great employment, great economic return, great cities, and social development around it. So that really incentivized to open up the mining sector and enable all these different sectors around it, even if it's logistics and government regulations. Even in the mining code, we took performance-based measures instead of doing it prescriptive. We incentivize people to leave the resources inland. We don't ban exports, limit exports. No, we give them a reduction in their royalty to continue to keep the produce inland in the country and enhance and maximize its economic return. To the second part of your question, Ma'aden and their participation in the bid, it's absolutely up to them. They're an independent company, and it's an open bid for all parties, all players, to come and participate in a transparent manner and abide by our alignment and qualification criteria.
So, assuming Ma'aden do want to participate, is there any extra encouragement for them? Because obviously they've already got a lot of projects on their plate, as I understand it. Will they be looking to increase their, I know you can't speak for the company, but is there a way they can be facilitated to increase their geological staff, because they've got more projects than they can cope with at the moment, I understand?
So for all companies applying to this license, the largest exploration license that we have in the kingdom, 350 square kilometers, they should submit their expertise and their spending, planned spending, and abide by that planned spending, which will be put in that contract. And it's something that we will continue to look at, because not only that we have an area of the 10 square kilometers, but also the adjacent area of 340 square kilometers is also important to continue to spend on it.
Yeah, but the last job I did before I retired was headed up Standard & Poor's mining team, and by our count there were 1,600 exploration companies in the world, half in Vancouver and half in Perth. And a lot of them are junior. What size company are you targeting? Are you looking for, because some of these juniors haven't got a lot of money, but they've got very good skills. On the other hand, you've got the bigger companies with the lots of ability to explore. Are you targeting a particular type of company?
We would love to keep it open to all types of companies to come and participate and look if this opportunity and this asset matches their portfolio, their strategies, their plans. It's a combination of both, because you've got this late-stage exploration area, and you also got this greenfield area for the 350 kilometers that people can come and explore. And the beauty about it is that the greenfield area is different commodities. You got gold, you got silver, which requires also different expertise. For how that will come into play is open to investors.
You're a geologist. The next question is probably more for an engineer, or at least where's the business strategist. It's obviously a huge area, and that particular one operation, Khunaigiyah, as I understood it from the chart, had 4 different deposits. What sort of plan is there? I mean, are these open pit and underground? And what order are you mining them? Because if there's 4, I gather one was are you going for the better quality one first?
So, as I explained, so there are 4 ore bodies. The previous studies that shows Zone 3, they tested for underground. They did the rock quality designation test, rock mass test, rock stability. They did lots of tests, including geotechnical as well, to find out whether it might be more potential for underground or just going with the open pit mining. We are leaving this for the investor. Once the investor comes and review the previous studies and look at all the geotechnical aspects in the site, at that time they can determine. But the thing that we can mention, 50 kilometers away from Khunaigiyah, we have Alamar Gold Mine, which is an underground existing and producer mine.
And one thing I'd like to reiterate that the licensing round is for an exploration license, not a mining license. So
that was going to be my next question. Because one thing I don't, I'm a mining engineer as well, but the one thing I don't quite understand, and I perhaps missed it, is, and this is one for you, Antony, you're doing a technical report. Normally they're done for a company that's going to actually do the production. You know, you do it for the company that's going to put the money in. Can you explain, or perhaps it's from one of the ministry, you're doing it for the ministry and then you're going to give it to the company that wins, that actually ends up producing it? How does that work?
Yeah, that's right. So our role is effectively to add a certain amount of certainty, if you like, or critical review, an independent critical review of the previous work that's been undertaken. So yeah, you're right. Normally that would be undertaken for a specific mining company. In this case, our contract is with the ministry, so we will be undertaking that review and making that review publicly available.
Have you ever done that before?
It has happened. It's not that common, but it does happen occasionally.
Yeah, right. Oh, well, it's enlightening because there's any mining company out there would love to come in and pick up not only an attractive exploration license, but one that's had SRK already crawl all over it. So I mean, it's that's.
We're offering so much, I believe.
Yeah.
Next time we'll offer less.
Right.
Thank you for the comment.
Well, can I quote you on that?
No.
Yeah. So what would be the next stage is once this one goes through, are you going to carry on the geosurveys that are being done and build up the database?
So geophysics has already been done?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so the total area of the belt, specifically Khunaigiyah area, is covered by geophysical and magnetic survey. And all of those data will be available in the data.
Spacing and the altitude?
I'm not sure exactly how much was the spacing, but it's available in the data room with all parameters.
And I was also thinking the thing that's taken certainly a lot of people by surprise. I was actually thinking the whole country's geophysical geosurvey, because that's enlightened, isn't it? Because it's allowing everyone to look at the footprint of the whole country, and that's ongoing, isn't it?
That's ongoing, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Because that's worthy of constant press releases, I would have said.
They're covering the 600,000 square kilometers entire Arabian Shield with magnetic and radiometric.
And one thing I've just got to add, because it's fascinating to me, and I'm off script now, ladies and gentlemen. 1.6 trillion resource value I've been seeing quoted. That presumably is metal in the ground times metal price, because that's. Or have you got any handle on what might be the mined value, or is that too early to say?
So, $1.3 trillion.
1.3 is it?
Is our knowledge, very minimal knowledge of the Arabian Shield. We've collected all the reports that's been done over the past decades, and that's the in situ value of the resources.
Right.
So yes, it's a mineral in the ground multiplied by its price.
Right.
But we also understand very minimal exploration has happened in the kingdom, and we believe that with more exploration, more of the 1.3 trillion will be at a higher confidence and developed into mines.
Yeah.
But also that $1.3 trillion number should increase.
Right. We also look out for that. Are you going to add anything?
Well, I was just going to go back to, as a geologist, I'm particularly excited about this deposit, not just because of the fact that it's been so well looked at in the past, and it's got a defined JORC level resource already, but if you actually look at the size of the exploration concession that this is part of, it's huge, 350 square kilometres. And the actual defined bit at the moment is only within an area of about 3 by 3 kilometres. So there's a lot of potential, both along strike and down dip, for further adding to the resources that are already known about.
Okay. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. I've got a whole series of 10-minute presentations that follow this. But please give a warm welcome and thank you to our panel.